you talked before about creating that cabaret. That was Jen's idea, right? Originally, the cabaret show up at the Motion Picture Television Fund. But what was, that for you to like create something? Because what I want to get into a little bit, and then I'm going to come out and start to kind of move into my Phil Donahue mode, which is asking all of you and running around like a crazed chicken to get all your questions in. But I want to ask you, what was it like for you to create work in this way and give to this audience? And it ties into two other elements I want you to think about a little bit, because at one point, I just want to share, Travis, I came to LA not once but twice without a plan and without a job. That's how smart I was.
And you thought of me?
What's that?
And you thought of me when you said this?
He generously, I know you're not hiring now because of the work you do and where you're at, but I'm an unskilled laborer, and he still brought me on board a job, and I just really, the indebtedness I have to you for creating that. You're creating films, you're finding ways to do that. So in terms of creating work, you guys, however you want to jump in, talk about creating work for other people, what that does to you, and then I was going to get into how these people who are, I'm talking to Kevin, Travis, but I also wanted to bring it back to you, Christine, and Mike, because of you're doing jobs that are in business, but how do you still make time for yourself as an actor? I mean, it's really for all of you, but particularly because you people are involved with creating work for other people, managing other jobs that take you away. So first, Kevin, just because of what did that do for you, creating the work, and how did it make you feel? And maybe Travis jump in.
Well, I tell you, it was magical, and it's something that Jen had this idea, and I thought, this is brilliant. I mean, we can use our talents and do something for somebody else, and then you start thinking, okay, this is huge. We've got to fill at least an hour with just us singing, and oh my gosh, what are we going to do? How are they going to react and all that? But then you put that aside and you just start working on the little piece and say, well, let's at least come up with a theme. And from that theme, we built a show, and we connected it, and we brought it back to them, and we pointed out there was a very moving moment actually in the show where there's a song from the musical Nine, which is based on the autobiographical work 8½" by Fellini, and we brought it around and said, this song is about how we artists look at each other and how people look at us on the world, and so we dedicated it to them. And AJ, who was one of the ones in the performance with us, sang the song. It's called "Unusual Way," and it was just moving. And they were silent. And at the end, as he drew the final note, there were several people who just looked at us with gratitude and said, "Thank you." They realized that we were coming from a place of honesty, and that we appreciate what they had done for us, and it was our turn to do for them. And so now Jen and I are sort of going to springboard and start to work on some other shows and develop to take to children's hospitals and to take to other homes throughout the area. So that will then kind of create work for us, for other artists as well. I also actually want to point out too that I work with Mike. Ooh, not this Mike though. Mike is my boss at Universal, and he was talking about how the program there is set up for actors that you can go to an audition and come back and get paid for a full day. I can attest to that. I've done that. It's amazing what they've got set in place there. Literally, I will come in, do a couple of tours, and then I'll leave for an audition, come back, do a couple of more tours, or if the audition's in the morning, I do the audition, come in a little bit late. They work it all out, and I don't know how they do it, but I know they do it, and it's worked brilliantly for me. I moved here to LA, and I had gotten my equity card and my AFTRA card, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to do this, ready to go, ready to play with the big dogs, and didn't have any idea where to start. I just got here, and I ended up signing up and doing a telemarketing job, which I absolutely hated because I am not the type of person who can sit there and dial and hit no, and here no, and here no, and here. I'm like, no. Oh, wait, no, that's not, no. So anyway, I said, there's got to be something else out there. And again, it just goes to putting the positive energy out there and realizing there are other options. So I got to my computer and sat there in that musty smelling room, and I grabbed the brass keys of my keyboard. I'm just playing on what you were saying there. Sorry. Anyway, I sat there and I went to Craigslist. And there, gleaming in front of me, was this sign that said, now hiring tour guides at Universal Studios. And I'm like, what? That's right down the road for me. Wait a second. I could possibly work it? No, this has got to be a joke. But I showed up at this open call, met Mike for the first time. We happened to hit it off because I used to work at Netflix when I was in Silicon Valley years ago. And so I had a love of movies and a knowledge of movies, and that kind of helped. And one thing led to another, and 4 years later, I'm still there, loving every minute of it. And they've got these programs in place that, I mean, seriously, they bring in top casting directors in the summertime. You get a chance for free to read for these casting directors. They brought in, well, Sandy Logan came and spoke once to us. She's the VP of casting at ABC and a former tour guide. And then they had this magical, marvelous showcase that they put on every year, and you have a chance to be cast in that. I was cast in it last year. A couple of years earlier, I was out of town doing equity shows, so I wasn't able to be a part of it. But like this year, I was in it, and 2 days later, got a call from Susan Goddard Smythe and said, we'd like for you to come in and read for this part. I was like, okay. Went in, read for the part, got a call back. I didn't book it, but I made a connection because of something that they have set up that cost me nothing. It's just part of being a tour guide at Universal Studios. And, you know, not to sing the praises too much, but, you know, where else do you get a chance to ride around on the back lot of a movie studio, a place that many people would love to be every single day? I get to do that every single day and talk about something I love, and that's Hollywood, that's movies, that's the industry that I love to be a part of. And I have to thank Mike for that. And Universal, because that's the program that they have set up, and it's amazing. So
that's awesome.
I think I got off topic. I'm sorry.
No, that's not off topic. It's all a flow, which is great. But it's about reminding me. It's about respecting actors. You found a place where you're respected. You have worth as a person. They respect us. They respect what we do. And obviously, Mike coming from the place of an actor, it's a good thing. Yeah.
Brought up something else practical that I thought of, because you found that job on Craigslist. I found that bad telemarketing job that I did on Craigslist. And here's just another practical thing, is when I was looking for a job for 3 years without getting any responses, I was using all the major job sites, Monster, Indeed, blah, 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 and I wasn't getting a single thing. So I branched out and started using the smaller ones, Craigslist. And all of a sudden, I started getting callbacks because everybody else is using the big sites. And so, don't.
I also think it's about asking not just small sites, but asking people you know in companies, because it's still people. It's not just nebulous websites.
And the other thing is, Los Angeles County Arts Commission runs an arts blog, and there are listings on for job listings on their blog, which are like box office positions, and the teaching artist website, and there are and then Idealist.org is all nonprofit jobs. And you're going to find a lot more creative people in the nonprofit world. That's where I found the Geffen job, was when I was on Idealist, and that came about. But another practical thing, I had to give up a little bit when I took the Geffen job, and I was afraid because I had nothing, so I had total freedom. That's how I looked at it. And I had the ability to go on every commercial audition that came up. When I took the Geffen job, I laid down commercial auditions for 6 months, and it was hard to do. But a friend of mine told me, the industry will always be there. And it is kind of true now. And I started auditioning again, and sort of like you, Mike, the first audition I went on in 6 months, I went to Avail on it, and it was a commercial audition. And I hadn't been in a feature since I was non-union, which was in the late 90s. I shot a scene in an indie feature, an ultra-low budget SAG feature last week, but that I got because I suddenly had the freedom to... The thing that changed, as I said before, is you look at things differently. When you have this structure in your life, you're able to say, well, you know, okay, my job is taking care of my mortgage. It's taking care of my health insurance. So I don't go to any audition now with that feeling of, oh God, I got to book this. Mm-hmm. Do you know that? And 90% of the job of auditioning is walking in the room with confidence. And you can't walk in the room with confidence if you're walking in with, I really need this. That's what I was saying before. Do one thing different, and things will change.
I hear that a lot from people more than once. It's when you go in for an acting job and you don't care, but in terms of financial, then it's when suddenly things come to you. It's the gravity, it's the secret, you know. And talking about the persistence, really for me, is coming up. We were listing off these websites. Is come back to creative ideas for yourself. What do I like to do? Well, my first job was actually driving. It helped me. I was delivering flowers. It helped me learn how to get around LA, and it helped me to get lost and know where not to go in terms of not necessarily bad or good neighborhoods, just like cul-de-sac, highway. Okay, I'll take this as the shortcut because I'm always big. I'm from Boston, so I'm always big into like, can I cut through this parking lot to cut out the red light and keep going, keep in motion, but also a lot of time on my hands because I could sit in the road in traffic and create stories and have imagination and then go home and write. And the other thing you said, LA, to me, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, is a deficit mentality town. Look, there's how much demand and how much supply. So you're really talking to me about creating abundance in your mind, and it's, you know, metaphysical stuff, but it's really practical. Get on the ground and create that sense of abundance for yourself. I keep a full fridge because I want to see food and drink and have people over and have that sense of, and it really does keep me spirited. But I keep coming back to just now, while Mike was talking to you, Travis, because I did say I was coming back to you, but specifically, and tell me if I'm wrong here, but you're creating work for yourself and for the people in both acting, producing, and the real estate side of things. So
yeah, it's a great feeling.
I was about to, thank you. Yeah, it stinks. I mean, tell us about that and what that does for you.
I want to share, because changing your mind about what you're doing, I'll share my exact moment when my mind was changed. I'd worked for 3 years, really dredging it out in the construction business, and if anybody knows anything about the construction business, it's very dirty. My mind was in a very negative place, and I was doing the Beechwood Canyon job, and a woman would walk her dog in the morning, and she'd walk in the afternoon. And one morning, the dog got off the leash and came into the construction site, and I grabbed it and brought it back to her, and I started talking to her. And she was a producer at CBS. And she said, what are you doing here? And I gave her a little bit of detail, and I said, but, you know, what I really am is an actor. And what I really want to do is be a producer. And she said, if you can do this, you can produce movies. And I thought, oh, wait a minute. I'm in training to produce movies. I'm not building houses. I'm not developing property. And ironically, 3 of my best connections that I've made producer-wise, one of them is an Oscar winner, came through doing construction on their homes. Creating that relationship with them and then keeping that relationship afterwards. And if you have some sort of trade, or if you don't, there's something that you know. I mean, it's maybe something simple, needlepoint, I don't know. But if you can do it and practice it and do it well, enjoy it, someone will pay you to do it for them. And that person might be the person that's supposed to come into your life and make your dream come true. And that's happened to me on several different occasions, where I wasn't thinking about it, I was just going about my business, and someone walked through and said, oh, you have a skill that I can use in developing your dream. And then you go and you do that skill and you're living your dream. And I wouldn't have thought of that in the beginning when I started doing it. I thought, this is my job, like I said before, for a year so I can earn enough money to not do anything and be a real actor. And that's just not how it works, not at least for me. And change your mind. you have to do something, and you don't know where it's going to lead you. And that goes back on, something's going to walk through the door. And when it walks through the door, if you can recognize it and not say, eh, which I did so many times, I wonder all those hands up that I threw at in the early years, where they would have led me. So keep an open mind. It can be fun, regardless of what you're doing. I mean, for a while there, I literally was changing toilets, and it opened up a scenario where I produced my first movie through it. Wow. So you never know. I don't know if it's a step up or not, but
yeah, no, but that's back to what we were joking about before. But it's really like I've had moments where I'm fussy, and it's like and I probably could afford to be because I had money coming in as a bartender and people calling me. But it's like LA is a tough nut to crack. I don't know if anyone knows this, but you have to audition for waiting jobs. When I came down here, it was a reality check. So there is a certain like move. I kept thinking while you were all talking is just put your ego aside. You don't have to do something that you don't want, but if you have an attitude towards it, then maybe, like you just said change your mind, right? Those are the words?
Just change your mind.
Just change your mind. We actually, I don't know if you had, I had an acting teacher, Travis and I also go back to being in an acting class together, but there was a substitute teacher once who said, if you go to the mailbox and you put in this headshot and you're like, where's that going to go? But if you go like, this is the job I'm going to get, or you come up to it, someone was grousing about waiting tables, and this made a difference for me when I went to New York, and I had to wait in a fine restaurant, fast-paced too, and I was panicked, but I was like, that's why I'm an actor too. I have a stage fright, so I just naturally go towards the hardest thing for me, I guess. But what I did was, this teacher in LA set me up for going and saying, I'm going to present this, again, back to the guy who's the Lebanese, it's my business, and I'm going to present this like, I don't care about cheesecake and about, pastrami sandwiches, but I'm going to make this like a real event for you. I used to pull in some of the best tips and the jealousy of my coworkers because I really took it seriously. So I just want to say on behalf of Kevin and Nancy, who are a part of this whole planning operation, thank you to both of you, and thank you to all of you.
Thank you all for coming, and thank you to everyone on the panel, Mike, Nancy, Bobby, Christine, Travis, Jen, and Michael, our moderator. Thank you all, and again, just make sure to sign up for Move at Move Hollywood at SAG.org.
I want to reiterate, just to not push, hang on one second, guys, just really important, again, it comes from the volunteering point of view, but these events are great, but we can't do them without the people who are involved. Hang on a second. I just think it's really important. It's great to come to these events, but you really getting involved with your union and your laborism and valuing yourself, not just what we go to do in terms of negotiating the contracts and collective bargaining, but negotiating your own strength by coming and meeting the circle of your peers in the union. Think about it for sure. Come to any events where union help is needed. Labor actions, even picket lines have been there. So keep active with Move. It's a great start. Sorry. Anything else, Kevin? Anyone
that was
else?
The perfect button.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Have a wonderful evening, everyone. Thank you.